it seems like we get stuck in the past because it's comfortable and we're familiar and we know who we are then. And so thinking of our future ourselves is less comfortable. And so we might be less likely to do it.
Oh, that's so true. I think I've been giving a lot of thought lately to that exact question. And I think it's emotions. I think it's this emotional thing. And it's I'm thinking about this romantic notion about keeping vomiting the past over and over and over, just throwing it up. And it's a romantic notion of replaying ourselves. It's like Groundhog Day, over and over and over. I'm really having to look at that in myself about times in my life that I perceived I was more comfortable or doing this or doing that. And I don't think there's truth in that. I think it's a habit to keep me from being in the present. So I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, I totally agree.
Well, please do, because that's such a relatable thing that's getting stuck in the same old patterns. And you see yourself doing it and you don't know why. But I guess it's that idea that the negative thing that you know is better than the possibility of something you're not familiar with.
It is. And we're just people. We have this guilt and fear and wanting to resolve, and we get embarrassed that people saw this or that. I don't know how we get out of it. Maybe there's a grander scheme involved, but I don't know what it is. I don't always have answers. I don't mostly have answers. I can tell you my experience and the things that I'm moving through because I think I'm very similar to other people because I'm just a people.
Yeah, and then there's always more questions than answers. One thing I wonder about something you mentioned before is what's the difference between emotions and feelings?
You know, I there's something I got the other last month about this. They said people say, well, emotions and feelings are the same thing, and that could be, but I'm on to this kick to where I think emotions are connected. They are the astral realm. They're your third chakra. Your astral body, your emotional body, that seed atom, that is your third chakra. So I think we use those emotions to find out what we feel. It's almost like, and I'm just theorizing using Zoliisms, but I think there are so many emotions attached to one feeling. Y'all think about that. I'd love a take on that, but I think I'm onto something, at least for myself. That doesn't mean it's a great dark truth. But I'm trying to figure something out about that because once again, there are many, many emotions attached to a feeling, right? So we use those emotions to define what we really feel. I mean, what do you think about that? Does that make any sense at all?
That's actually quite apt and not something that I would have put together in that way. But it's so true. When you're having a feeling, you're angry, you're sad, you can have joy and sadness at the same time. And there are a lot of mixtures of emotions that go into one feeling. And
You
how
know,
that's connected to the astral is even more intriguing.
it is psychologists. I think our therapist addressed that one time. I don't remember what he said, but people who are doctors or masters or psychologists or counselors or priests or whatever, they can probably give you a really clear definition of emotions and feelings. I just kind of go off chart as usual. I'm running off the path when all other kids are in a certain direction. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. And I think there's more to it. That's just my initial, what the hell is this?
It's the initial noticing, and as you research and investigate, you'll probably bring more to us.
And to me first, and if it's not any good, I'll drop it and pretend like I never said it.
Well, there is more to it because we often just disregard our emotions as feelings and not important, but to see the deeper level of it allows us to notice or understand why or what's the bigger purpose.
These emotions, I've mentioned this before, but I'll pass this on to you guys. As a research analyst, I'm not saying X, Y, and Z is the absolute truth. So in this situation, I'm saying theosophy teaches that emotions, the physical, let me back that up. During the Lemurian root race, what are we root race for now? Maybe that was two. It was one of the first when the world was messed up and destroyed, and then here you come again. Now we got Lemuria that lasted for hundreds and thousands of years. We were there to go, oh, look, I have a physical body. I'm going to learn to maneuver things in the physical world. They didn't have emotions. It wasn't there. Go figure. This is what Theosophy says. So play my silly game. Then here comes the Atlantean civilization, the next root race. It says, guess what, humans? Now that you know how to maneuver the physical, you're going to add emotion to it. And oh boy, did we do a good job with that. Guess what? We're still in it. We're still there. The next root race, and I'm not sure if that's right, in the age of Capricorn, which is the next 2,500 year cycle coming after this Aquarian cycle, of the age of Aquarius, that the next step for humanity is to be mental. It moves up the chakras. You can't be mental without moving that emotions from the third chakra into what? Your heart. Once things reach your heart, they shoot up to the fifth, sixth, seventh chakra and out. So we are using these emotions to get to our heart to be more feeling. But this mental nature, this will allow us to be less emotional, less erratic, and to look for reasonableness differently.
And like everything else, I assume that's an evolution. Like it's a gradual thing that doesn't happen all at once.
Oh boy, is it gradual. And people do it at different rates. Different cultures sometimes evolve differently. Of course, they do. There's certain cultures that appear to be more evolved. They have more older souls in it, or more, I don't know, more initiates, whatever you want to call that. There's a real structure to it, and it's hierarchical. But you have to realize in spirit, there's no time. The masters aren't rushed. Hierarchy doesn't rush. This will happen, and it is already happening on the higher planes. It just has to filter down to us. But what can we do now? That's the question. What we can do now is say, I am going to learn about my emotions and why I'm reactive. Why do I react as much as I do? And say, instead of reacting, I'm going to try to say, what do I feel about this? And so by saying what you feel, you're going to be able to connect more with what to do about it or not do about it. That's what I think where we are right now.
It'll be interesting to see how our rational brain handles the world better than the emotions. We seem to be really caught up in that right now, where everybody's a 2-year-old getting their feelings hurt.
It's easy to do, isn't it?